Well, hello and good morning from the Center for Spiritual Living, Texas Hill Country. I am Reverend Beth Warren, the spiritual leader here at CSL, and I will be bringing you the lesson for today. Our theme this month has been living in harmony with life. And each week we have been discussing how to bring balance and spiritual poise to that song that we call life, both individually and collectively. And today's lesson is entitled, To Everything There Is a Season. You know, balance and harmony are spiritual qualities that live at the core of all things, including us. And today we realize and realign with this truth. Starting with King Solomon's words recording in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 that begin, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. That came from the Lamb's version of the Bible. In that sentence, I believe King Solomon is speaking of our human experience, because the clue is in the words, every activity under heaven. And to me, that is referring to the experience we are having here on this human plane. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, since he then goes on to recite just about every human experience or condition we can have, starting with and beginning with and the end. Because he writes, there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to fear, to tear down, and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. And many of you are probably familiar with all of those verses if you recall a song by a group called The Byrds back in the 60s and 70s. But how many of us know the next verses? Probably not, because the Byrds didn't sing them. They are where the profound teaching is. What does the worker gain from his toil? God has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for men than to be happy and do good while they live, that everyone may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all his toil. This is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. So, what does this entire passage say? I believe it is addressing that while in this human experience, we will experience the ebbs and flows of life, the ups and downs, but we shouldn't let them dictate and drive our entire existence, because all that will turn out for the good. And there is so much more to us and to our existence than we can see. You know, Solomon said, God has made everything beautiful in its time. And he has also set eternity in the hearts of men, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from the beginning to end. What I feel that Solomon is saying is that we are connected with the infinite, with all that is, was, and ever will be, which is the all good, but we don't get it. We can't see it, so we don't comprehend it. One of the fundamental tenets of the New Thought teachings is that we live in a spiritual universe. There is more going on than really what meets the eye. Yes, my friends, there's always more going on than meets the eye, and eternity has been set in our hearts. We are connected with the infinite, all good, now and forever. So, could it be that in these beautiful lyrical words in the book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon was advising humankind to settle down a bit during the ups and downs and ins and outs and ebbs and flows of our human experience and realize that the constant, steady flow of eternity is at our core and all really is in exquisite harmony and beauty. And everything is as it should be. I love the part of the verse that says, I know that there is nothing better for men than to be happy and to do good while they live, that everyone may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all his toil. This is the gift of God. And it so reminds me of Jesus' words spoken centuries later when he said, as recorded in both Matthew and Luke, and I'm going to give the Luke version from chapter 12, beginning with verse 22. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. Life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap, they have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable you are than the birds. Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to his life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Consider how the lilies grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grasses of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it, for the pagan world runs after all such things, and your Father knows that you need them. But seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. And I believe now, which I didn't realize before, that Jesus' words were inspired with Solomon's words from centuries before. In fact, he was quoting or tweaking what Solomon said. And so even today, thousands of years later, these words from Solomon and Jesus give us assurance that behind all of our human endeavors and goings on and challenges and chaos and upset, behind all of that, there is that which is eternal, that which is in perfect harmony, that which flows with the currents of eternity, and that which is beautiful, opulent, and orderly and balanced. And all of this is God's gift to us. I know that there is nothing better for us than to be happy and to do good while we live, that everyone may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all his toil. This is the gift of God. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. And so, how do we receive this gift, this kingdom? Well, as I was prayerfully contemplating this week, one word kept coming to me. And it's a word some of us aren't too crazy about. No, it's not forgiveness. You're off the hook on that one this week. You know what the word is? Patience. What we need is patience in the face of the times that seem out of harmony or balance and seem to be completely out of tune, which is happening in our world today, perhaps in our individual worlds also. And realize that being happy and richly provided for are, according to Solomon and Jesus, gifts of God to us. So, can we be patient and trust that nature really does know what she is doing, that balance and harmony and beauty are spiritual qualities that live at the core of all things, including us, and that all truly will reflect those qualities. And if we would just be in a state of allowing and give them the space to unfold, can we realize that our sense of urgency, our resistance to the current situation, our impatience have the exact opposite effect of what we want? The exact opposite of what we want. Did you hear me? The exact opposite of what we want. When we are patient and accepting of the now, we are in the allowing mode, which gives the universe the green light to deliver our good. When we are impatient and resistant to the now, we slow down or even stop our good from coming to us, as surely as if we were trying to move a car forward with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. Can we not put the brakes on the gifts of God as for us, the beauty that is our lives, the joy that is available in this very moment, the love and the peace and the plenty that are right here, right now? Can we do that, remembering that the universe really does have our back? There's a beautiful line from A Course in Miracles, which reads, "Those who are certain of the outcome can afford to wait, and wait without anxiety." Those who are certain of the outcome. And don't we say in our prayers, I release this truth, knowing that it is now so? And then do we let it go? I think that's when we start fretting and worrying sometimes and slow the process down. I think that's a pretty fantastic definition of patience, the way that it's been described. And when we know that we are connected to that universal, all providing intelligence, remember, God has set eternity in our hearts, then we can allow ourselves to be patient. When we place no time constraints on our manifestation, we can go about our daily lives with an inner awareness that says, I've got all the time that I need, and I'm certain of the outcome. So I will allow it to show up as it will in due time. The secret to being patient is in the certainty of the outcome. When you are certain that the outcome is assured, then without upset, anxiety, or a sense of urgency, you are able to turn your attention to whatever it is that occupies your daily life. But when we become impatient, we literally devalue ourselves and our connection to the divine Holy Spirit. Impatience is a failure to trust in the universal intelligence, and it implies that we are separate from the all-providing Spirit. You know, in Wayne Dyer's book, Manifesting Your Destiny, he writes this: infinite patience produces almost immediate results in your life. You become free when you relax your insistence to have it now, and you increase your awareness that you actually do have it now already, even though it may not even show up as you would like it in your immediate surroundings. As an infinitely patient person, you know that you are already where you want to be, that there are no accidents, and that all that appears to be missing is nothing more than an illusion perpetrated by your ego. So the key is to learn to relax in peace, knowing, detach from the outcome, avoiding the process of rushing and pushing through life. Think for a moment. Where are you putting the brakes on receiving the gifts of God, the kingdom of heaven, because of your impatience? Where are you dissatisfied or unhappy because what you want isn't in your life right now? Could this morning you stand firm in the assurance of the outcome and release your foot or your hands, in my case, oftentimes, from the brakes and let the gifts of God come to you? I want to leave you with a short story about patience. It's written by a person by the name of Wes Fessler. Archie loved apples. He thought they were sweet. He thought apples were always a wonderful treat. He ate apples each day when he went out to play, but the part in the middle he just threw away. Then one day, as he ate an apple to the core, he caught sight of a seed, wondering what it was for. If he planted a seed, it just might grow a tree. So Archie thought, what a wonderful thing that would be. So he planted the seed in a hole, core and all. He had faith it would grow, even though it was small. And with a shovel, he covered the core with a mound and taking care of the seed that was under the ground. He brought water each day in a watering can, and he did his very best to make good on his plan. And every day he returned with the hope he would see a small sign of new growth from the seed to a tree. But the sign did not come, and as time drifted by, Archie started to doubt whether he should still try. There was no hint of green, not the tiniest leaf. Was an apple tree really worth all this grief? He was ready to quit if it just would not grow. For so long he had watered that seed down below. So Archie went to his father to ask what to do, and his dad told him something that he never knew. He said, sometimes things don't go the way that we plan. Sometimes people give up when they don't think they can. But to those who keep trying when no one else will, there are dreams to achieve and great hopes to fulfill. The words struck Archie's mind, and he knew they were true. He would try to be patient and keep trying too. Archie came every day without fail to the seed. He brought water and tended its every need. Then one day, like the sun breaking out from a storm, a green leaf sprouted up from the ground in true form. Reaching into the sky as if saying hello, the new tree met the one who allowed it to grow. Archie saw the small leaf, and a tear filled his eye. He was so full of cheer that he started to cry. It was patience that brought this new life from the ground. It gave Archie more joy than he ever had found. He had not given up when the outlook was grim. He helped that little seed that depended on him. And the tree brought him apples in time, and they were sweet. It brought even more apples than Archie could eat. It grew strong and broad and beautiful and ever so tall, from the patience and hope for a seed once so small. Patience, my friends, is the key to bring it into your life, the experience of the gifts of God, promised by King Solomon and Master Teacher Jesus. Remember, there's a time for every purpose under heaven, and that God's invisible hand guides us all the way. And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend